Well, we are finally getting some lower temps. Fall is in the air, and it is still a great time to check in on your financial game plan. So that is why every week we turn to our resident financial advisor, Sean Mason, president of Mason Street Wealth Management right here in Fresno. Sean, it is always great to be with you. How you doing?
I'm doing so good, Casey. We're having a lot of fun this weekend. Got some good things planned, but I'm really excited about the show today. We've got so much good information. So I just encourage everybody to hang in there, hold on, and we're going to bring you some great information you can use for retirement planning.
Sean, I agree. We have got a lot of great stuff to chat about on today's show. We're going to talk Roth conversion strategy. Plus, we're going to talk about some signs that it might be time to throw the flag on your current financial advisor. But before we get there, want to make sure that you know how to reach us if you're ready to take a fresh look at your retirement strategy. 559-847-0039 is our phone number. And Sean's got an amazing offer for our radio listeners this week. Be one of our first 5 callers. We will get you on his calendar for an introductory retirement planning assessment. This is an opportunity for you to get those big retirement questions answered. No commitment, no obligation. So you don't want to miss out. We're going to open those phone lines right now. 559-847-0039 is that number for you again. One more time, 559-847-0039. Or if online is better for you, you can always head over to our website. You can find us at masonstreetretirementinsights.com. All right, Sean, let's get into the good stuff. You have always told us that Roth conversions are a smart way to control future taxes. This is where you convert pre-tax IRA funds to after-tax Roth accounts, and you take advantage of that tax-free growth. And thanks to the One Big Beautiful Bill, those low tax rates that we've enjoyed since 2017 will continue. But an article I read this week at Kiplinger said that this strategy is really no longer a slam dunk. So I wanted to see if you can explain to us, Sean, what they're talking about here. And is this another reason why Roth conversions are not a DIY project?
Yeah, I really like this strategy. In fact, we're in Roth conversion season right now. Well, we're actually looking for conversion opportunities all year. You know, if you have a drop in value in any of your holdings, you definitely want to be considering converting that holding. But the majority of Roth conversions are executed in the fourth quarter. And yes, Casey, to your point, conversions can be a very powerful tax mitigation strategy. We often see 6-figure and in many cases, multiple 6-figure increases in lifetime spendable income and in the amounts passed to the kids and grandkids. But this is definitely a strategy that deserves professional consult. The benefits will be different in all situations, and in some cases can have significant negative impacts. But at the end of the day, the long-term benefits of conversions, which are reduced taxable income, tax-free growth, and tax-free legacy to the kids, it has to outweigh the detriment of paying taxes early. So it's essential to understand those tax implications and how to implement strategy to mitigate them. And Casey, you've heard me say so many times, one piece of the puzzle is always affecting other pieces. Conversions can increase Social Security tax, increase Medicare premiums. They can eliminate deductions by pushing income over certain thresholds in the conversion year. But here's the key. These effects can be controlled in the conversion strategy. The same effects can happen by default throughout life due to RMDs, required minimum distributions, and then inflation pushing income into higher brackets. And this is where people lose control of tax bracket management and can't get it back. And so this is why Roth conversions are often the lesser of the two evils. And they can save tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars in taxes over a lifetime. The Big Beautiful Bill did its job by preserving the current tax rates, at least until the future administration decides to change them again. So we do have another 4 to 5 years of optimal conversion opportunity. There are some additional parts of the bill that could be a benefit in some situations. The increased deduction for those over 65, the SALT deduction, reduced taxes on tips and overtime are just a few, but they phase out with increased income. So some situations there'll be a benefit, some they won't.
Sean, you know, we always hear about Roth conversions as a powerful tool for retirement planning, but sometimes the real story is just not so straightforward. There are folks out there who have seen things kind of go sideways for them, while others have kind of hit it out of the park. So I'm wondering if you could share a real life example where a Roth conversion maybe didn't turn out as expected, or maybe where it did work out exceptionally well, just so our listeners can kind of grasp what's at stake here.
Yeah, we don't necessarily have situations where the conversion strategy backfired, and that's because we do a comprehensive stress test to calculate the projected results in different scenarios. But I did just meet with an individual who had come into the office about 5 years ago. I just met with him a couple weeks ago again, but he came in for a retirement planning assessment about 5 years ago. And during that discussion, we decided his situation deserved a comprehensive financial plan. And at that time, he said he was busy and would call in to schedule the process, but he never got around to it. So this time he asked me how much he lost by not starting his Roth conversions 5 years ago. And we figured out he missed out on about $225,000 just over the last 5 years. So planning sooner than later is definitely a good thing. It is important to note, though, there are risks that could delay or even reduce benefits. If the market were to drop significantly after the conversion, the time it takes to recover can have an effect on the results. But there are strategies we can use to eliminate that risk. Steve and Jennifer came into our office for a planning assessment. And during that assessment, we determined their situation deserved a comprehensive retirement plan. So going through our planning process, we identified they could benefit from Roth conversions to the tune of over $300,000. Of course, they were excited about that, but as we tested the risk of a market correction, we projected that that benefit could be reduced by 40% and take longer to reach. Steve and Jennifer's risk tolerance really leans conservative. We used a strategy that guarantees no market losses in their Roth account while still allowing for reasonable growth rates. And this strategy also has a feature that will enhance the results by reducing the out-of-pocket tax expenses. Now they're considering retiring early. Casey, I got to tell you, it's so much fun seeing them so excited about what they're going to do in retirement. And
I
having that
bet.
feeling, and having that feeling of knowing that their lifestyle is going to be as they had hoped. It's really my favorite part of what I do. And I want to see that for everyone. And it all starts with a comprehensive financial plan assessment. So I want to extend an invitation to our listeners. Give our team a call at 559-847-0039. And you want to do this right now because for our first 5 callers, we're going to provide you with your own individual comprehensive retirement plan assessment. Your investment accounts, your estate plan, the conversion strategies we've been discussing, all the elements you need to be addressing for retirement, and we're going to do this with no charge. So give us a call. Again, that number is 559-847-0039. I do want to add, because this is unique timing, it is Roth conversion season, and we happen to be putting on some adult education courses at Fresno State that are directly pertaining to Roth conversions. So you want to give us a call and get scheduled for those classes. You could also go to MasonStreetRetirementInsights.com and you can sign up for those classes there as well.
And just to recap, that meeting that Sean was talking about, you can meet with him completely complimentary. You can sit down with him. You can get your big questions answered. He's right here in Fresno, or you can head over to Fresno State, take one of his classes. I promise you want to take advantage of this opportunity while it's right here in front of you. All you've got to do is give us a call, 559-847-0039. That number for you one more time, 559-847-0039, or like Sean said, find us online at MasonStreetRetirementInsights.com, and you can also get connected that way. All right, so if you are a listener of our show, you've probably heard of the 60-40 portfolio, 60% stocks, 40% bonds, but have you heard of the 50-30-20 portfolio? Morningstar's Amy Arnott explains a little bit more. Take a listen.
The idea is 50% stocks, 30% bonds, potentially 20% in alternatives, including private equity and private capital. Obviously, if a firm is offering exposure to alternative assets or private capital, they have a vested interest in promoting those asset classes. So they're going to be able to make more money if people do go ahead with that 20% allocation. And another thing to keep in mind is that the expenses are much much higher on those alternative asset classes. You are definitely paying higher fees.
So, Sean, private equity has been a hot topic lately, especially since it might be finding its way into 401k soon. So, is this something that you would consider in a retirement portfolio? Talk to us about your thoughts here.
Yeah, it has been a hot topic for sure, and especially in the investment regulatory world. And just to bring some clarity for our listeners, private equities, it's an asset class of privately held companies who are not traded on the public exchanges. Typically, these investment opportunities are available through private equity funds or private equity firms who group and manage multiple private companies as a single investment. Traditionally, this asset class has been more accessible to institutional investors, banks, life insurance companies, pension funds, and accredited investors, those who have a net worth of over $1 million, not including their residents. But recently, we're seeing the discussion of accessibility turn towards the retail investor. And as you mentioned, Casey, employer plans are even getting in the mix. It's definitely a controversial topic because of the risk. These are companies who are smaller, they have less capital, their priority is growth, so they're usually less stable and can be significantly affected by the economic environment. And that increases the potential of them going out of business, which could result in total loss of investment. There could also be liquidity risk. Sometimes it takes years to sell out of these funds. But with the higher risk comes higher earnings potential. Historically, private equity funds have outperformed the S&P 500 by 2 to 4% long term. And typically, their goal is to go public, and that can be very lucrative for investors. This asset class certainly has its place to make a difference in a portfolio, but for the right investor. And it's definitely not a good fit for everyone. As with any investment, you have to be clear in what you're trying to accomplish to determine the best strategies.
Well, now that there's talk about private equity showing up in 401k plans, it kind of makes you wonder who should consider opening that door. So, Sean, what kind of investor do you think stands to benefit the most from adding private equity to their 401k? And on the flip side of that, who might be better off staying away? What do you think?
Yeah, it's such a great question, Casey. Because we're seeing a trend in 401k offerings, and I would encourage caution for most in choosing private equity positions because most people lean towards a passive investment strategy in their employer plans. And this asset class deserves more hands-on, even a professional management approach. Individuals that I would consider this strategy a good fit for are those that have the emotional and pragmatic risk tolerance. And what I mean by emotional, the ability to take a loss in a small portion of their portfolio and not affect their peace of mind. And then on the pragmatic side, taking that loss and it not interrupt their retirement plan, lifestyle, quality of life. For most, it's essential to have professional consult in determining what specific strategies are going to be the best fit for each situation.
So if you're listening and you are wondering how private equity could fit into your retirement plan, or if you just want to make sure that your 401k is aligned with your goals, now is the perfect time to get that second opinion. Give us a call, 559-847-0039. We'll work with you to find the next convenient time on the calendar. You can talk through your situation with Sean, and you can work together to find that best path forward. 559-847-0039 is that number for you again. Sean's got those 5 spots set aside on the calendar for our radio listeners. So go ahead, snag one while we've got them. One more time, that phone number for you, 559-847-0039. Or you can get started with us online. We're at Mason Street Retirement Insights.com. You are listening to Mason Street Retirement Insights. I am here with our resident financial advisor, Sean Mason, president of Mason Street Wealth Management, right here in Fresno. And he is breaking down your biggest retirement questions today. And Sean, we are several weeks into the NFL season now, and already several head coaches are in the hot seat and in danger of losing their jobs. It usually comes down to a few reasons, among others, but here are a few. 1, a poor start to the season after some high expectations. 2, a consistent losing record. That'll usually do it. And 3, it's been too long since a playoff appearance. So let's look at this from a retirement perspective, Sean, as we do. When it comes to planning your retirement, your financial advisor is really your coach when you think about it. So what are some of the signs that maybe it's time for you to put your financial advisor in the hot seat, Sean?
Well, as you know, Casey, we teach a lot of adult educational workshops throughout the year at our local colleges. And one of the questions I get most is, how do I figure out which advisor is the best fit for me? Or is my advisor doing a good job? And of course, some are better than others, but what is better for one family might not be for another. So I try to give some direction as to what to look for, but you have to consider it's from my perspective, which might not be the only perspective. The ultimate goal is to make sure the advisor brings two things to the table. They're very good at what they do, and that alone is a lot to unpack. And number two, do they have your best interests as their priority? It, of course, has to be a mutually beneficial relationship on multiple levels, but it's essential that the success of the family is the priority, and all great advisors thrive on making a difference in people's lives. These things will become apparent if you know what you're looking for. An advisor should be focused on who you are, what is important to you, what you want to accomplish, and what your concerns are. And you have to be confident that you're being heard and that what you're saying is important to your advisor. And this can be a key indicator of whether your success or your advisor's agenda is their priority. Asking you questions that sometimes might not seem relevant: how many grandkids you have, if your parents are still alive, the state of your health. This is important information in the planning process. A great advisor will also want to focus on what's important to you, but also has an obligation to know your knowledge level and point out what you might not be thinking about or considering. It's important that you easily understand what your advisor is trying to communicate. Edna, who I've been working with for years, she brought her CPA to the first meeting we had, and she said, "I brought Phil because I don't understand this stuff." And I looked to Phil and told him that I appreciate him coming to the meeting, that I'll always collaborate with my clients' professionals. And then I told Edna, if I don't communicate with you in a way you understand, I'm not a good fit for you. So communication is definitely key.
Sean, what do you think are some red flags that a financial advisor might be more focused on selling you products and actually coaching you towards your retirement goals? What should people be on the lookout for in that department?
Yeah, Casey, isn't that the main reason people are apprehensive about financial advisors? I mean, great advisors don't sell anything. They create strategies through comprehensive planning, and then they use products for solutions to support those strategies. When my team is working with a family in the planning process and in managing the plan through the years, we want to make sure we're explaining the reason for everything we recommend. And that entails walking through all the different options there are and identifying the good and bad of each. Then the reasoning for our recommendations becomes apparent. When your advisor can give you clarity, you get confidence that they know what they're doing and that they have your best interests as a priority. And that's when you know your advisor is a good fit for you. I believe the best way to figure that out is to go through our comprehensive planning process. It allows us to develop that relationship without making long-term commitments and then decide how to move forward with management. It all starts with that initial consultation. So I want to encourage you, our listeners, to give our team a call at 559-847-0039. And you want to do this right now because for our first 5 callers, we're going to provide you with your own individual financial planning assessment, an analysis of your investment portfolio, tax strategies, planning your estate, all those elements you should be considering in your retirement plan. And we're going to do this with no charge because it's that important. So again, that number is 559-847-0039. Give our team a call and schedule your own individual retirement planning assessment.
And just to reiterate there, Sean will do this introductory retirement planning assessment for you, completely complimentary. There's no obligation. It is just a conversation, and it's available right now for our first 5 callers. You can sit down with Sean. He's local. He's right here in Fresno. So take advantage. That phone number is 559-847-0039. We are standing by right now to take your call. So again, that's 559-847-0039 while our lines are open, or visit masonstreetretirementinsights.com and you can get started online. All right, before we go today, Sean, I want to play you a clip from actor Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. He's taking a hard left in his latest film, which is called The Smashing Machine. This is a biopic about former MMA fighter Mark Kerr, and it marks a big change for Dwayne because it's a dramatic role. And he told CBS Sunday Morning recently that he got pushback on the idea from his own people. Take a listen.
Staying in my lane and staying in my comfort zone means their comfort too. Dwayne, what are you getting ready to do? Does that equate to box office? Does it equate to that? It's human nature. Change and any kind of disruption is scary to people, but that's what you got to do. And I know that in my world, I need people's opinions, those who I trust. I need their insight, but ultimately, I'm going to make the call, and this is the direction I'm going to go in.
So, Sean, what do you do when a client wants to make a big change in their retirement plan, like maybe retiring early or investing in something risky, and you believe that it's really not in their best interest? How do those conversations in your office normally go?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I'm actually going to see The Smashing Machine tonight.
You'll have to report back.
Yeah, I definitely will, and I've been looking forward to it. I'm definitely a Rock fan, but for sure this is a big change for Dwayne. I have a feeling he's going to be great in it. And yes, the families I work for do come to me with changes they want to discuss. In fact, I encourage them always to be thinking about new ideas. Some of those ideas might require major changes in the plan. And like you said, retiring early, or it could be relocating to a new state closer to the grandkids. Maybe it's buying a vacation home or additional travel expenses for an extended period of time. All of these changes will affect the plan. But that doesn't mean they're not a good idea. It will usually boil down to what's most important to them. And often there will need to be compromise in other areas. Maybe less of a legacy to the kids or giving up the country club membership. Actually, that's rarely on the table. The Jacksons came into the office a couple months ago and wanted to buy the RV. And the first trip would be a year-long tour of the national parks. And we should note that they had rented an RV a few times already. I always suggest to people that are looking to buy an RV to rent one first. But they had many trips they wanted to take over the next year. The problem was they weren't sure if it would work out financially. And as with all the families we work for, we had already created a comprehensive retirement plan for them. So we designed multiple scenarios that would give them the finances to make this happen. They all required some sort of sacrifice. But the Jacksons decided they were more than happy to downsize their home. They felt that they'd be spending less time there over the next 10 years, and they probably wouldn't want the upkeep in their later years anyway. There's usually a way to make it work. But to answer your question, Casey, I don't actually have to give my opinion about much, although I will always if they ask. But the plan always shows the picture. It gives clarity. So decisions can be made based on facts and how they feel about those facts. So it always comes back around to having that comprehensive retirement plan in place.
Sean, fantastic insight today. As always, we know that we have covered a lot today, folks. I am sure you've got questions. So I highly recommend you take advantage of the opportunity to meet with Sean. He's here to help you make smart, confident moves for whatever your personal situation may be. So get connected by giving us a call, 559-847-0039. We will find you the next convenient time on Sean's calendar. You guys can talk through your situation. You can figure out that best path forward together. That number for you again, 559-847-0039. One more time so you can make sure that you've got it down. It's 559-847-0039. Or you can always head over to MasonStreetRetirementInsights.com. And from there, it has got all the ways that you can get connected with us. That is going to do it for us this week here on Mason Street Retirement Insights. As always, thank you so much for joining us. And we will be back next week, same time, same place, with more great insight from Sean Mason, president of Mason Street Wealth Management. Take care.
Mason Street Wealth Management, MSWM, is a registered investment advisor, and the opinions expressed by MSWM on this show are their own and do not reflect the opinions of Motivate Investments. Registration is not an endorsement by securities regulators. Investment advisory services are offered through Motivate Investments, an SEC-registered investment advisory firm. All statements and opinions expressed are based upon information considered reliable, although it should not be relied upon as such. Any statements or opinions are subject to change without notice. The information presented is for educational purposes only and does not intend to make an offer or solicit solicitation for the sale or purchase of any specific securities, investments, or investment strategies. Investments involve risk and, unless otherwise stated, are not guaranteed. Information expressed does not take into account your specific situation or objectives and is not intended as recommendations appropriate for any individual. Listeners are encouraged to seek advice from a qualified tax, legal, or investment advisor to determine whether any information presented may be suitable for their specific situation. Past performance is not indicative of future performance. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance products, including annuities. Offered through Sean A. Mason, California, insurance license number 0B54860. The firms are separate entities. Annuity guarantees rely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company and are not offered by Motivate Investments. Read your contract for restrictions, limitations, or penalties. MSWM is not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if MSWM is licensed in your state, please call 559-892-0002.